Surely there are ways of doing that without using live ammunition.
That is according to you. I think the police know what they need to do.
62% of Kenyans feel the country is heading in the wrong direction.
Those are polls that, they are different polls.
You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs. Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protests. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all.
It was supposed to be a moment of power, a global stage, a president defending his track record before the world. But instead, William Ruto walked straight into a trap of his own making, because on Al Jazeera, under the calm glare of international journalism, every denial, every excuse, every calculated smile revealed something much darker. The truth that even the most rehearsed leader cannot outrun. The evidence is everywhere, online, documented, undeniable. If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
Kenyan President William Ruto talks to Al Jazeera.
President Ruto's Al Jazeera interview was meant to restore global image after months of protests, police killings, and a rise of criticism from Western allies. The plan was simple: appear confident, reasonable, and presidential. He wanted to tell the world that Kenya was stable, that democracy was alive, and that the youth on the streets were not citizens in pain, but they were criminals out to loot. But that narrative shattered the moment questions turned real. When he was asked about abductions and the police killings during the Kenyan protests, Ruto denied everything.
You didn't leave it to the police force, did you? You got directly involved. You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs. Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protests. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all.
The other thing the protesters talk about is what human rights groups call enforced disappearances. 2024, it's reported more than 80 people, critics of the government, disappeared. You've got them?
I can tell you, none of those people. I have told them. I have told people who claim that so-and-so has disappeared to step forward and tell the country who are these, when were they abducted, and many of the stories that you hear are people who when you tell them to come out, they don't.
He called it propaganda. He said that police were only defending property, the same script that the Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan is currently using in Tanzania. Except this time, the world was watching, and Kenyans were listening, not through the state TV, but through social media, where every abduction, every beating, everybody on the streets has been documented in real time. In an era where the truth is live streamed, Ruto still tried to lie like it was 1998.
The oldest newspaper in Kenya, The Standard, had on its front page Rogue Ruto, and you stopped live media coverage, or tried to, of these protests. Kenya's known for its freedom of media. It's one of the great beacons of free media in Kenya. People I've spoken to, young Kenyans, say they are worried now about censorship in your country.
I don't think so.
Kuna taarifa ambayo imetufikia hivi sasa kutoka chumba cha habari, na taarifa hii inatoka kutoka kwa tume mawasiliano nchini ambayo imetoa agizo na amri ya kusitisha matangazo yote ya moja kwa moja ya maandamano ya leo.
That moment revealed something the president's team may not have understood, that he cannot control the narrative anymore. He can't hide state brutality behind state statements. Citizens have cameras, networks, and voices that travel faster than propaganda. But the real shock came when the interview turned regional. When he was asked about Tanzania's sham election, where Samia Suluhu Hassan won with 97.66% of the vote amid opposition bans, disappearances, and media silence.
Is there still democracy in Tanzania?
It's not for me to judge Tanzania. It is...
Seems a bit fishy, 97%, doesn't it?
There is Well, in a democracy, for example, in Kenya, you can never get 96%.
So it's not a democracy anymore then?
That is you saying. Every country have a way of them doing their stuff.
Ruto said nothing. Not a word about the journalists who are missing, and not a word about the blood that has been spilled. And when Uganda's dying democracy came up, where Yoweri Museveni admitted of torturing 2 Kenyan activists in a fridge, again, Ruto chose silence.
Uganda, elections coming up very soon. President Museveni has been there for nearly 4 decades, and there were real questions about whether there were free and fair elections last time. His opponent, Bobby Wine, was under effective house arrest. How worried are you about those elections and whether they're going to be free and fair? Because this affects the climate of the whole region, does it not?
I attended President Museveni's swearing in last election, and I think he got 57% of the vote. He didn't get 90.
He couldn't afford to anger his fellow authoritarians, because together they are building something very dangerous, a network of fear that crosses borders. The Standard newspaper called them the trinity of terror: Ruto, Museveni, and Samia. 3 leaders accused of trading democracy for control. 3 leaders that are bound by their mutual silence on each other's crimes.
It's now or never. Some people are actually leading you, or rather leading us, into killing each other. Now it's time that we say no to that. You know who you are. Nobody's gonna tell you what to do, because there's only one man that can give or take life, Jah, the Creator. No one is supposed to take life.
The interview was supposed to humanize Ruto. Instead, it exposed him. It showed a leader who has grown terrified of truth, a man who hides behind the same excuses that were used by the very regimes he once criticized. Kenyans flooded the social media with disbelief. Clips from the interview went viral, not because Ruto sounded strong, but because he sounded hollow.
Sudanese army claim that your country is supporting the other side, the rapid support. Are you worried Kenya's going to be seen to be on the wrong side of history?
Not at all.
The world saw a president trying to rewrite reality while the evidence sat just clicks away. I'm sure even his team must have started whispering that this was a mistake. You know, they say there's a reason why dictators do not give interviews. And this one must be one of the reasons why. Because the moment that Ruto sat for this interview, he opened the door to questions that he could not answer.
There are also allegations that you're involved in getting arms to the RSF. The Sudanese army says you're involved with the UAE and you're shipping arms.
That is absolutely false.
This is what happens when power forgets it's being watched. When leaders mistake silence for obedience, and when they think that fear is stronger than truth.
Mr. President, you've now been in power for 3 years. We've talked about the protests, we've talked about the police response. The next elections less than 2 years away in 2027. Is democracy in Kenya safe in your hands?
Absolutely.
William Ruto's interview with Al Jazeera wasn't just a PR blunder. It was a mirror. One that reflected exactly what Kenya has become under his rule. A country where denial replaces justice, where leaders protect each other, not their people, and where the truth doesn't die. It simply waits for moments like this.
Listen to Ruto.
You didn't leave it to the police force, did you? You got directly involved. You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs. Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protests. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all, because the law allows the police to use force.
Surely there are ways of doing that without using live ammunition.
That is according to you. I think the police know what they need to do, and the police, by the way, understand.
Masikia?
It is within their part.
I regret kwambia nini shandeni ya vijana kwa miguu. Wejua ni mbaya.
Subscribe.